Yeah, it's 11:30, we'll call the special meeting to order. Scott, will you call the roll, please?
Sure. Golden.
Here.
Hoffman. Here. Kaiser.
Here.
Erman. Here. Ravitch.
Here.
Mr. Supervisor, you have quorum.
All right, thank you. Just trying to hold off till next week, but there's a couple things that need to be taken care of. Time is of the essence. They're getting ready to pave down to the fire hall, but is there any public comment?
A few questions, I guess, and I don't know if you know the answers or not. I saw a sign just past Meyer saying they're gonna be working on the highway, doing something on the highway,
They're trimming
October
trees
6th.
back.
Trimming trees back, okay. Do you know how long that will last at all?
I don't.
Okay. Other question, do you know what they were doing up by the Holiday Inn there, digging where they had the road?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I don't.
And, how is that sewer station doing? Is it,
It's the pump station, the pumps were set Monday and it's working now. They just gotta finish the outside of the pump house.
so that although everything's working again and,
Everything's working again.
okay. Thank you.
Yep. We were talking about by Meyer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, lift station. Okay, so need to talk about the new fire hall, a couple of things that have come up. First is the fire tank and I call it the backside of the building. It's designed, there's almost 15 foot of fill, 2 foot of fill on top of it. But the design is for it to only come out 15 feet, which would leave a very, well, it's a 45-degree angle, so it's very steep. And in talking to the contractor, I thought, well, maybe we can go out further, add dirt and make it go out. But what happens when we do that, it gets into the septic field, which we can't cover, and it also gets into where we do snow storage, it can't come out. So the only alternative I could come up with, I talked to Dave Hoffman, who's a landscaper down there. He says, really what you need to do is put a retaining wall up about 4 foot and then build your slope from that. So at least could be hand mowed or somewhat maintained. Otherwise, it's just gonna be a weed garden down there. So I think to do it right, we need to do this, do a retaining wall in this is a well, and this is a well. One well's for the fire tank, one well's for domestic. But we do a retaining wall somewhere kind of between these to come up to almost this well, all along here, and we'll have to dive it off here to avoid the drain field. That would come up about 4 foot, it'd be ready rock, and then take your berm up from there. On the back side, right now we have a drainage ditch 20 feet off the property line. I talked to Tammy, a drainage ditch can go into the setback area. Move that about 15 feet out, and then we'd have more of a slope there. Instead of 15 feet, we'd be going out about 25 to 30 feet.
How close will we be to the wells with the retaining wall? We're gonna have enough room if they have to do service on it?
Yeah.
They can maintain
They
it,
can
it'll be on the
maintain it.
back side of that
Yep.
furthest
All right.
wall, you know. No, like Denny said, they'll taper off to nothing, north
Yeah.
and south.
Right.
So Tom, you were down there with me. You wanna add
No,
anything to?
But they'll taper off, like he said, on that south side, and on the north side, it'll be 4 or 5 feet, and then they'll taper it off, and then the grade will form, like Denny said, around to the back.
Yeah, I get it.
To the south side,
Yeah,
or
kind of
east,
be winged
west,
around it.
east.
Um,
Yeah, they'll be able to maintain them.
Okay. As long as they get in there with the
So the
truck.
quote to do this is 55,000. That will be, you know, to build that right wall. It should have been, we're not gonna be happy like with the slope like that.
No.
That's the way it's designed. But I think to do it right and for the long term and to be able to maintain it, that's the way to go. It's up to the board what they want to do.
And where those, you know, the dash line, or not the circular lines that are on there now, it'll be out of the drain field setback, of course, there, or, you know, so it'll taper around there to the north side.
So they're
It
scheduled
will
to
look nice.
pave at the end of next week or the middle of next week, so that's why we can't wait till next Wednesday, because if we're gonna do this, I wanna get everything in there before the pavement's on.
But can David do it by then?
He claims.
He says he could.
He said he could do it.
Okay.
He said he was gonna, like Denny said, where he was gonna check on vendors and
Yeah,
that stuff per se.
I know those, Ray rocks, you know, that adds up, they're not cheap.
It's one and done, you know, it will be
Right.
there.
Okay.
And then that, because the slope also from the building goes to the east, and so then that water will run, pitch between like a V and run around to that south side retention pond and that back drainage ditch. And the other stuff will shed to the north pond. So, it'll taper that all over. The drain fields will be up a little bit. Most of that water's gonna run to the south side,
Probably most of it on the side.
from the building and the tank, and then that backside will run to the ponds and all be captured to keep it on our site. Should work.
Any questions?
No.
What do you wanna do?
Then the other thing, after it gets up and pushed around, you know, we might add a couple shrubs that we, you know, make it look nice there, so it's tied in with the rest of the building. I'll make a motion to move forward with that.
By Tom, do we
Addition
have-
to the,
do we have support?
I'll second that.
Second by Joe, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, then, go to that retention pond picture on the front driveway. So, Tom and I walked down here, was it last Thursday or Friday?
Thursday, I think, but maybe Friday, I don't recall.
So this is the entryway coming in. So there's no landscaping plan for, I mean, other than grass. But this is kind of a retention basin. And it's been standing water there for the most, it's always wet at the bottom of it. And you can see it's already grown just, I don't know if they're cattails or not, but just, it's weedy in there. You can't mow it, you can't hardly weed whip it because it's just wet on the bottom. I don't have a quote on this or anything, it can come later, but do we wanna do something with that? I mean, that's the entry of our driveway, I mean, it just, you know, we can grass it up kinda down at the bottom, but that bottom 5 feet is always just gonna be, and that's our entryway, so. You know, Tom likes the idea of, if you come by the American Spoon Food down there on River Road, you know, kinda how they made that rain garden there, I mean,
Those look really
I mean,
nice.
it's full of stone, I mean, but,
You got perennials that will back, it's not plantings all the time.
yeah, and when you put the plantings in there, that draws up some of the water too, I'm not saying it's gonna dry it, but if we had that stone, but you wanna go ahead and get a quote on that? I don't know, I have something for next Wednesday or not, but.
For like audience, Tanya and stuff, that, where that, on the left side there, that's a pile of black dirt, our property line is basically right
At the
runs
base of that.
north and south. So that black dirt pile belongs, it's on the Foster property. So, like from that black dirt pile to the curbing would be all grassed and sloped in there with a rain garden slash, you know, retention pond there. David suggested possibly some bigger stones maybe to the south side, so you come in and kind of hold that and, you know, just make something, give us some design work anyway, so. It looks nice, that's already irrigated on the plan, so it'll keep the shrubbery and grass entry. They get that all top dressed in the next few days.
And that he would have to know pretty soon too, would he?
Yeah, I
I
mean.
mean, by our next meeting or so.
That's what I'm saying, hopefully by next Wednesday,
That's gonna look a lot different next week or so when they start putting the top dressing on there.
Yeah,
Then we'll be able to
It
see.
changes every time they change the grading
I
and
know.
stuff, so, but.
Yeah, I think we should get a
Okay,
quote for that.
okay, cool. And then, the next would be the TVs, up here, you probably, he's done that.
So, what's that? So it's here for. So Don sent over 2 quotes. Let's see, what's this first one? This first one, what did it freeze? The first one is the hearing loop system. So we were talking about making it so if you have the hearing aids that are compatible with the hearing loop, which I think most generally any modern day hearing aid is designed to be compatible with those. It connects to the audio system, so when we have the microphones in the hall, it'll pick it up and just put it directly into people's hearing aids. So he was looking into that. He didn't know what it would look like, so he's just now getting a quote over, which it's a station that would go into our box where we have all of our other audio equipment, and then it's just a 14 gauge wire, I guess, that just runs around and he makes like an antenna in the ceiling. But his quote for that comes out to $6,112.94.
So if anything that would go through our speakers, if we had like Zoom or something, anything would go to their hearing aid.
Yeah, I guess
Can that be added later, or do we need to do it now with this system?
you probably could add it later, but I imagine your
More
labor would
expensive.
go a lot up once they start putting those tiles in the
Tiles
ceiling.
up, then you gotta take them back down and put it in.
Yeah.
It's a labor.
We didn't think of the loop part at the beginning, you know,
I know.
just in this room, you know, where people say, well, I can't hear. That's a bigger room.
Well, it's getting to be
You
a
know,
big
whatever,
thing. I think
microphone, but-
St. Francis Church now has.
My mom.
A lot of churches.
My
A lot
mom
of
loves
people
it.
really like it, that
My mom-
have hearing aids,
Mhm.
and I'm probably hesitant.
Well, and I think it's a step in the right direction for accessibility too, like this is a good thing we can offer to make it easier for the public.
Oh, so there's that to think about for a minute, and then, move on to the TVs through Sunrise.
So the TVs, if you recall, he did these separately than the quote for the audio system. He was researching what's basically the biggest bang for our buck that we could get for these TVs for commercial grade. So they're 300-inch 4K TVs, so you should be able to see them pretty good from anywhere in the room.
This is 80.
This is an 80, and this is a residential one, and you can see them even just a moment ago, it freezes up. These ones are gonna be tight in, they work with the computer boxes that he puts in, so they're more of like a commercial, like if you were to go into any sort of like large city community center and they got the TVs there, it'd be more like that. Let's see. So the quote for the TVs and then the labor to hang them is $19,892.24. So I didn't think to put a map, but just, there's the one that's directly behind where the board's planning on sitting. There's one that's gonna be to the left of the board, that, I think that one will be facing the board, so that way you guys can see, and then there's another one to the right of the board about halfway down the room that could be articulated out. So if we have a very full room, you know, if we only have like 15 people in, we're probably only gonna use the front half of the room, but if we get a meeting and we've got 50 people in it, that way we have another TV that's farther back, so the people in the back can still see, which is why we went with 3 TVs over the 2.
It'd be one directly behind us, so people
Yeah,
would see it straight on.
Yep.
There'd be like one where the clock is,
and then one
The
over.
board
we
is
look at, and we'll be setting straight, not you. And then there'd be one across from that, that would be facing that way, so if you're way in the back, you don't have,
Yeah,
you're not looking right here.
Yeah, he's got 2 arms on there.
that's what I was gonna ask, should there be 3 mounts to match 3 TVs, or is the 2 mounts the one for each and then the one behind
The
it?
one
One
behind
behind
is
would be
stationary,
fit.
it's just flat, these 2 you would twist.
Okay, but we don't need a flat mount
Oh.
on there? Like a third mount for the standing TV?
You know, I guess I don't know, I'd have to check with them. I don't know if he just mounts it directly to the wall or if it needs to be on like a separate object. But the one behind was never gonna be, at least when we talked to him, it was never gonna be an articulating one. It
Yeah.
was just the,
So this counts or covers both, and he sets it up so all three are synced.
yeah, so all three will be connected, and then it'll connect to either a laptop or a tablet. So it's kind of like what I'm doing now, but you know, every meeting there's going to be issues with what this is because this is just me piecing together. You know, this is professional. It's called a Dante system, which is an AV like coding language. So they all speak together. They all display the same thing. You can connect, I think, with any computer. You just have to have the program on there to sync it up. It connects with like the audio, and it's like if we're doing Zoom and the microphones and everything. So everything is linked up together in the room. But this is the TV portion of it.
To Emma's point, possibly if you're gonna contact Don, you know, for the third mount, maybe if it's just put a wall mount like that quote there on that, just in case the room were to change.
Just
That
put an
could still look
articulating.
flat, but it could move, because if it's gonna be a $500 mount, I'm just saying, and those look like they're 800 a piece, might as well do an 800 one, and then we'll have that option later down the road instead of it's fixed, like,
Or do we do that third one on wheels like that, and for the most part, we leave it, but then it gives us the ability to move it?
probably, there again, it sounds like they're all hardwired in.
Oh, so
Yeah.
it couldn't be on
And
wheels.
not-
when I was looking
Yeah,
at
and
these
you don't
wheel
want
systems.
other people maybe or.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
think
these
it's
are
called
gonna be
mount.
expensive, these are commercial, they
Yeah.
got commercial warranties, I'd be hesitant to let
Yeah.
general public start
Yeah.
moving it around.
So you'd want it on the wall.
Just get a quote for a third mount, I think, a swivel,
Okay,
but that's, anybody else thinking that way?
Don't think
I
it
don't-
matters one way or another, I just wanna make sure
Yeah, I don't care
a
one
mount
way or
of
the
some
other.
kind is
Yeah.
for.
Fixed is okay. Yeah, I guess.
Right,
But if it's we'll get a quote.
If it isn't too much
Matter of
difference.
few dollars.
let's just find out what.
Alright, that's fine.
Well, he may be planning to mount it right to the wall.
I would think you'd have to.
Yeah, I
have
think
some
you'd have
kind
to have a structure to mount.
these commercial ones, they might come with a wall mount bracket.
Could be.
Oh,
but-
maybe.
So are you saying that you wanna wait to do anything with the TVs until we get that back, or do you
No,
wanna
no.
vote on this, but then
No.
wait, I'll bring another quote back for just the articulating
No,
arm?
I think just give it up to me and Tom to decide.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a few $100, we just do it. If it's in the thousands, I mean, I can't. do it.
Right.
Yeah, if
It was
it was
reasonable,
400 or
yeah.
something, then.
And that way he can go
I don't think
forward
we
with
have to
this.
bring
Yeah.
it back.
Okay.
No.
We gotta get this stuff,
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of the stuff's gotta start.
right
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
right on.
Well, we
I'll
could,
send it
yeah,
out
we
now.
could get moving going on this.
What do you
and then
guys wanna
can
do
work
on
that
the
out.
TV?
I would move to approve both quotes from them for the, do you want them separate or together?
Just, if you want to do both, do both. If you wanna do, I mean, if you want one without the other, then.
No, I would move to approve both, and then kind of as part of that the third mount to be determined by Joe or by Tom and Denny.
Well, by Emma, do we have support?
Yes, I'll
Support
support.
by Joe, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Aye. Anybody opposed? Okay. Is there any, I don't think of anything else on fire. Oh, the sign.
Gary,
Do
is
you wanna
this
just
sending
update
me
this?
an invoice directly or is this through Aaron?
This is through us, not through Ironwood.
Okay.
Sign. So this is more informational, I think.
So we're going through the preliminary process with Tammy and Laura for the sign. And there was some confusion on what's allowed and what's not allowed for the signage in this type of zoning district. Back and forth about if we could have both the sign and the lettering. So there is a provision in the current signing ordinance that we can have both the sign on the road and the lettering on the buildings as a government entity. That we don't have to ask for any sort of special permission or anything, it's just built into the ordinance. But we did have to wait to get the sizing for the letters to submit the permit, so Jeff just sent that over probably 20 minutes ago, so I sent it over to
Or did you send it over?
Tammy to make sure that's what she needed, but hopefully the permit will get submitted today.
For the building, the lettering on the building.
Yeah,
For both.
so like if you see the building, you know, we Bear
Yeah.
Creek Township up there,
Yeah,
we had, I don't know, they're foot letters or 14 inches or 18 inches, are they 19? Okay, now, so we weren't sure when we were filling out the permit till we got.
Right.
So that's just, so you guys know, that's all I got to talk about on the fire hall. Spring Lake Park, so they started there last week,
I just got all the emails.
yeah, I know, I just went over this one, took a bunch of pictures. Maybe I'll just talk about, so Tom and I and Garrett went over to Spring Lake yesterday. Some of these trees got damaged by the spring storm. We had them kind of trimmed out, but now that you're looking at them, they're overgrown, they're over the roof. You can see all the moss on the roof now. Probably most of these bigger trees around the pavilion need to come out. So we tagged them. It's, some of the branches and trimming is in the quote, but removing the actual tree is not. So, Tri-County's gonna be moving in there, October 6th, so a week from Monday. But, the ones that are hanging like way over, either the bathhouse or
Yeah.
the pavilion, we're gonna have Alan Jim's come in there and like trim them, take them out. These ones that are out further, can just take the excavator.
Okay.
And then on the decking, we removed the deck top. Wish I'd have got a picture with all the joists, but we removed the deck top to see why this thing is settling. It turns out when the deck was built, it was built to residential standards and not commercial standards. The pillars that you see in there, the posts that are up out of the water in there, those are all in good shape. Those are all solid, there's no rot. But on the joists, there was some rot, and some were lifted, some were down, some were kind of like, onto the beams, they're actually floating off the beams, that's why that whole thing rot. We had an engineer come in there Monday, Brian wanted the engineers to look at it, and he suggested we take everything down to the pillars, and start over.
Yeah.
So, none of this is in the original bid, because we didn't know what was underneath the decking. So we're working on that right now. I don't have a number for you, but I can tell you it's gonna be in probably $65,000 to do this now all the way up. You know, the railing part, that's already in the bid, and there was some monies for the top decking, but none of this is all.
That substructure was bad.
Yeah.
But it's important to have it done right for a safety perspective, you know, I mean.
Engineer, so, you know, they're all working, you know, the contractor can't even, until the engineer comes up with the material list, they can't order the material yet. You know, the stuff's gotta be marine grade, the wiring was, not in conduit, that was underneath there, so that'll all have to be brought up to commercial grade. So, that pipe you see going under, that was underneath the deck, that's a sprinkler pipe or water flows that from one side to the other, but that can stay, that's fine.
Is the marine grade like a composite or something that won't rot?
It's, marine grade is.
Or,
It's ground contact versus regular pressure treated.
So like on
Okay.
your deck at home, you just got regular
Yeah,
pressure treated, you go up to Home Depot. The Home Depot or Lowe's won't even have a marine grade, I doubt maybe they probably can order it.
probably have to order it, I'd imagine.
Even like, yeah. So it's available at the manufacturer, it's available at the warehouse, it's not available at like custom funders or
Yeah.
wherever they're ordering their equipment through, material through, but. Those, joists that you see either in the water or just above, those are just temporary, they nailed on here to put their pick on it, and so they can walk across. Those went down in the water, usually they're up a little bit. So anyway, that's just kind of an update there, I wanted to just let you know where we're headed for on that, but again, don't have any pricing for you, but.
And
Deck is gone, we gotta move
recall,
forward.
the Parks and Rec Committee, and when we did this, just to refresh, we knew there was some unforeseen things, so
Yeah.
now we know,
Now we
so.
know.
I don't know.
how you ripped it off, you didn't know, there was no way to
Yeah.
plow under there.
Well, this was one of them, the other one was a pavilion. You know,
Yeah. Well, you're talking 35 years old too, you know?
Yeah.
Stuff has changed and the electrical will be brought up for,
To
because of the
code.
water, of course, it's
Yeah.
gonna be.
And I am gonna add, told them to add a plug in the pivot, right now we don't have any outlets, but somebody wants to. Not the crock pot, what's the bigger? You're gonna plug in something or you know, most stuff is battery.
now,
for
did we run
radios.
our bubbler last year?
Yep. run the-
Now, where does that, there's a plug in for that,
There was a plug underneath.
We'll have a
It was
plug
available to
underneath.
the public,
Yeah,
but-
ground fault
Yes,
and
ground-
seal.
That was GFI, yes.
Is that even ground fault right now? The plug down there?
Yep.
Is it?
The one for the pavilion, will that have that, like, you know, the cap, the outdoor cap that goes on it?
I think it does, but
I wonder if it should, just.
I would assume.
There'll probably be some code Wayne will get. involved in
Yeah,
that.
but-
Might not even be able to put one there unless it's a marine, because somebody plugs in and runs an extension cord, there's lots of,
Yeah.
I don't know, maybe
Lots of-
the engineers got, they got a, it's got.
Wayne will
electrical
weigh in on
engineer,
that.
Well, electrical
Our
engineer
Wayne.
has to design it, so maybe you're right, I don't know.
you know, I know like when we've done stuff like at Hearthside Grove and this back in GLE, all that stuff was really particular. What could go in, and that wasn't even around water.
Yeah.
You get these marine docks, that's a marine dock.
Yeah, that's a called, that's a marine.
Wayne will,
Yeah,
or
yeah, maybe we can't, I don't know, it's.
just a thought.
Good thought. Anyway, that's all I have, Connor, you got anything, or?
I'm still waiting to have discussion on the sewer
We're gonna have
amendments.
that next Wednesday.
We are,
Yeah.
okay, excellent, because I see that in the, Beckett and Rader's, draft master plan that is, again, talking about your plans for sewer and water expansion. What you've told me isn't a plan, but is clearly a plan, because we now have it in there, and we have it in the sewer study, where it's clearly a plan.
Nope, next Wednesday we'll be talking about that.
Thank you.
Anything else? Okay. Any board members, got anything? If not, we adjourn. Thank you everyone for coming on.